Hello, peeps. Welcome to April. I tried to do yesterday. It just did not work. Didn't it? Just didn't. So today I'm here, and I am super grateful that regardless of the energy, the Facebook link and the YouTube link for streaming are working. So excited. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, universe, for allowing that to happen because this is a lot of energy right now. And if you don't know me, I'm Soul Coach Michele. Welcome to my channel. I am on YouTube. And if you are watching this on Facebook, I would love for you to go to the YouTube at Soul Coach Studio channel and just subscribe, hit the bell, like all the business to support the channel and get my videos out there for other folks too. So thanks for joining me today. We are going to talk about today, and I've been kind of like lax on my video recordings just because the energy is like got me so just tired, and we've had so much stuff go on a personal level that it just has been so juggly trying to get all the things done. And also, and I'm going to talk about all of that stuff, like why all that kind of feelings are happening, so that if they're happening for you, um, I channeled a lot of notes over the last couple of days regarding this. Like, so yeah, we got some time. I normally try to keep these to about 20 minutes, but it may go over, but it won't go over an hour because I have a client to talk to around 11. So I will probably have to hop off after about 40 or so minutes. But I know it's going to be a little longer than normal simply because it is a lot going on. So let's recap, because now we're in April. If you did not watch my video, instead of doing kind of like March and April videos like a lot of folks do, I kind of did, my first video was like, here's the overview of the stuff that's going to happen, the energy and the channeled messages about that. Couple, like 2 weeks ago, right before the last eclipse. So we are currently in eclipse portal. We're between eclipses. So the last one was on March 25th. Let me just double check. But 20, no, I am wrong. Let's see. 23rd. No. Oh, I'm looking at April. Duh. Yeah, 25th. And yep. Sorry, my calendar is not working. Shocker. Yes, on the 25th, we had the lunar eclipse and a full moon in Libra. And we are now in an eclipse portal. The next eclipse will happen on Monday, the 8th, where we will have the new moon and the big, giant, great American eclipse that goes just sails across our country, or the US if you're not in our country. And so there's that. There's Mercury retrograde. There's all kinds of stuff. So I want to kind of get down to business. And I'm sorry if I'm all over the place, but this really has my mind muddled. I don't know about you. Sleeping is kind of challenging right now, and kind of getting stuff to work technology wise. My phone has been acting crazy. So we'll kind of dive into all that. But just for like April energy, again, I want to come back to the concept of commencement that I talked about in the last video about the overarching energy that's going on. And now that we're in it, I kind of wanted to kind of be like, okay, let's kind of fine tune this. So the commencement idea of things closing and things starting is where we are. So we may see things go away, and new things that we didn't really think were there are going to come to be. So what does that even mean? Like, what is that? So that's kind of, so commencement is one theme. We have the Mercury retrograde in Aries, which is a lot of like fire. And when communication isn't working and you have fire, it causes anger and arguments. And plus, most Gen Xers, we have a communal Chiron and Aries, which is like your wound of like, a lot of times it's about questioning who you are and boundaries and self-care and stuff like that, that we are proactively telling other people to make sure they take care of, but we have a challenge in doing it ourselves. So there's that. And then this idea of lessons and transformation, but I always think like it's kind of like we're coming through the birth canal. We're in that position of coming out, And by the time the 9th comes around, April 9th, we will not be who we were before. We will be birthed into a new thing. And then we're still in Mercury retrograde till the 25th. Or wait, let me just make sure. Back to this. So we started on the 1st, 1, 2, 3. Yeah. Let's see. Yes, the 25th is the last day of Mercury retrograde, and then we're in post shadow. But here's the deal. So let's start with commencement. So commencement, this idea of something ending and something beginning. So we had everything in the lunar eclipse in Libra. Libra is also the south node, which is what we're moving away from. So think of Libra's lower vibrational qualities, people pleasing, being a little gossipy, trying to keep up with the Joneses, like, all of that kind of plastics idea. So it looks good, but it doesn't have to, we all have to look good, but we don't have to feel good, kind of a thing. Just make sure everything stays balanced, even at your own expense, kind of a thing, which makes a lot of folks angry and irritable. And I think we've all been guilty of that whole, not doing your own self-care and all that kind of stuff, and having relationships that we're in because of obligation rather than because we want to be there. So, and since Libra is really about balance and about relationships, and not just relationships from the romantic perspective, but also relationships from friends, and relationship with self, and relationship with family and stuff like that. So really understanding what that means for you. Okay. So we're moving away and letting go, see whether you like it or not. And this is the other thing, this whole energy, this is what Spirit has told me. A lot of times when we have these kinds of things, where we have forks in the road, where we have choices to either learn our lessons or not learn our lessons, but then they come back around later, kind of thing. Like that's a Mercury retrograde thing I usually talk about. And also lunar stuff. And this time is really big. This is a different time in history is what I'm getting from Spirit, and that we don't have really a choice about this one. The only choice you have here is how you choose to move through it. So you're going to get moved forward, whether you like it or not. So you can either lean in, and I'm assuming that if you're watching me right now, you're one of those ones that's like, I'm going to lean in. I'm going to, it may not be pleasant. It may not be, rainbows and unicorns and pop rocks, but I'm going to do it anyway because I don't have to do this again. And the people that maybe aren't, awake to this, that are not willing to take on the responsibility and accountability without punishment, that's a whole other thing. But that responsibility and accountability to their own soul growth, to the reason why they came here, to the destiny that they have right now. If you're not willing to do that, it's going to be a real rough ride. It really is, because that might be why. Because the other thing I've heard from a lot of folks are they're out in the world, they're navigating, just going to the grocery store and stuff like that. And it is like the most, I don't want to say aggravating. It's more like you're observing people just not treating each other very well. And you're like, what the heck is going on with this? And that's what that is. It's because, they are creating that energy, but you're witnessing it and you're experiencing it. So what does that really mean for you? So this is where we get into the whole, if we're frustrated, if we're angry because we have that Mercury retrograde and Aries going on, because we're, going through the birth canal to get out to the new version of you isn't always super comfortable. So if we're frustrated and angry and you're having these experiences where people aren't seeing you, people are ignoring you, people are cutting in front of you at the store or in traffic or any of that kind of stuff, or you're feeling bullied or any of that kind of things by the people in your circle. So maybe your work, you're at the store, your family, like your acquaintances, the neighbors, what have you. The thing is that a lot of times we get angry, and that's the energy. The energy is going to support us popping off and getting angry because it's that fiery miscommunication, disconnect kind of thing with the external relationships in our life. But what that remedy is for moving through this kind of time right now, that the big overarching energy is to really exchange your anger for curiosity, Remember, this is like heightened sense of like everybody's compressed, the pressure cooker is on. It's going to be that way probably till May 9th, I'm going to say, because you come back, and it's funny because Mercury comes back where you can see in the sky on the 9th, but that's like the last day of post shade. And you kind of are like in this pressure cooker through this whole thing to be that new person. And that causes frustration and anger, and it causes each of us to have friction with other human beings that we love. And and just be really mindful, because I feel like if you're not mindful, things can be said that you can't unsay, and that is not good. So be very, very aware, self-aware of what's going on. So if you can exchange that anger, that frustration that is going to come up because of all of this stuff that's coming through, for curiosity, and saying to yourself, instead of saying, that guy bullied me, that guy cut me off in traffic, that woman is standing in front of the stuff in the ground. I saw this, like, I belong to the Aldi group on Facebook, so if you ever see me in there, I love Aldi. But in the Aldi group, somebody even posted, I've been to the Aldi, and normally it's so fabulous and it's a calm environment because, there's not like 300 aisles and 300 brands of things, and everybody's just kind of happy to be there. But not this last couple of weeks. And somebody even mentioned it in the group and said, I have never been to an Aldi where like people are just like acting like they're the only people in the world. They're taking up a lot of space, getting in other people's personal space, and not just having the common courtesy of how we interact in a community of people. And I think it is really because everyone is like, if they're not mindful to say to themselves, hey, I'm going to exchange my anger for curiosity, they're just going to be angry and frustrated. And that's where that's coming from. And so if you can take care of creating your own experience, like co-create with spirit, say, I'm going to breathe, I'm going to exchange that anger for curiosity, and say, what's my lesson here? So if I am experiencing where someone's standing in front of the stuff that I want to get to at the freezer section, cutting me off in traffic, like, where am I standing in my own way? Okay, like, that's how you turn the mirror around. It's not, where am I standing in other people's way? It's, if you're experiencing someone cutting you off, someone standing in your way, someone kind of ignoring your humanity, you have to look in the mirror, and the questions to ask aren't, how am I doing that to others? The question is, how am I doing that to myself? So this point in time is very reflective. Okay, so you're looking in whatever you experience that causes anger and frustration. If you can take a breath and stop saying, that guy's pissing me off, but instead say, okay, I'm feeling angry, feeling frustrated. Why am I doing that? Are they breaching my boundaries? Are they in my personal space? Are they blocking me from what I want? So if I'm going to turn that around, it's, how am I allowing others to breach my boundaries? Where am I saying I have a boundary, but then if somebody crosses it, I don't say anything? Where am I, cutting myself off? Where am I where am I making myself swerve because I'm not staying the path the way that I'm supposed to? Where am I blocking myself from doing what I want or getting what I want? It's not really about frozen spinach, y'all. But if somebody is in your way in front of the frozen spinach, that's where it's kind of like, okay, where, if I want that, if I have something I want, where am I blocking myself? And then using that information in a constructive way. That's how to use your anger constructively. That's how to process it, instead of just saying, I'm going to be angry and I'm going to feel my feelings, and that guy's an asshole. And no, that does not help. Not only does that not help, it feeds the current energy of anger and fire. But if you're going to be a high vibrational Aries, which is Aries is North Node, where we want to go. High vibrational Aries is shining your light, being curious so that you can heal your shit and move into that which the world needs from you. Okay? That is what's going on here. That is what needs to be shown. It is time to say, anger, yes, low vibrational. All emotions are okay. I want to be really clear. I'm not saying, be toxic positivity and all that crap. No, I'm saying feel the anger, realize you're feeling the anger, and the way to shift your energy, because everyone's always like in all these manifesting groups, how do I shift from anger and frustration to this other? I'm like, well, you manage it and you experience it. You say, oh, you acknowledge, oh, I'm angry. You accept it. Yeah, that's doesn't feel good. I'm angry in this moment, and that's okay. What I do with that anger next by taking action is where you choose. If you're going to pop off at someone, that's not okay. But if you're going to choose to say, I'm going to get curious about this anger, about this frustration, and then choose another action that comes out of the answer to that curiosity, how am I going to shift this? I'm going to get curious and say, oh, how am I blocking myself? How can I resolve that? Do I do energy work? Do I work with a coach because I know I need the help? I mean, that's the other thing. A lot of this energy is really about like, yes, it's about you being you, but if you need support to move into that, because it's not an easy travel. It can be bumpy. I have a coach. Coaches need coaches, readers need readers. I always find it interesting that half of my clientele are people that do, when I first started, I was reading for other readers. And now my goal and what I do is really, I focus on woopreneurs. Like, yes, I'm a soul coach. Yes, I am somebody that does readings and does this kind of stuff because I think it's fun. I love doing it. I love channeling messages for people. But I really feel like supporting woopreneurs as they transition from their corporate gig to their dream job and like reconnecting with their soul so they can really solidly have a good footing to do that. And then the tools that they need to do that. Like, I'm not a business coach. I'm not the person who you're 3 years in your business and you need like that kind of stuff. I'm more about you're 3 years in your business and you need to start focusing on your heart centeredness and your support and stuff like that. Like we, in the soul circle, in the celestial soul circle, for woopreneurs and spiritual side hustlers, we do, 2 reconnections, soul reconnection sessions. And then I'm starting to institute woopreneur workshops at the end of the month. So, which are more practical stuff. But that's the kind of stuff I'm talking about. Channel that anger, that frustration, and figure out what is it that I need. Am I not giving myself enough self-care? Whether you're like, just living your life and this is your spiritual base, or you're like living your life, this is your spiritual base, and you are also somebody who's a spiritual side hustler. Especially for the healers out there. We need you so much. Like, there are so many prophecies from indigenous people that this is the age where the healers, the people that are grounded into those kinds of practices are going to be needed. We need more teachers. We need more support folks because there's just a need for it, because humanity has been taught so much to not live in their heart center and to live in their head and to be afraid of things. And that has to change. If people are talking about we need more kindness, we need more this, that, and the other, these are the kinds of things that need shifting. That's why we need healers and teachers and spiritually based businesses that are based in love and community growth and that kind of thing. That's what I see we're moving towards. But the only way to get there is to really let go of these toxic relationships, to let go of relationships that are out of balance, low vibrational Libra energy that we like kind of opened up and started releasing with that full moon that was about a week ago. And as we move closer and closer to this new moon, the big giant eclipse that's coming on Monday, the 8th of April, that more and more of this, you might, if you're really kind of in that space of I'm a little bit scared to shine my light, this is where you're going to start feeling it, and you need to get yourself some support, whether it be a coach, a therapist, joining a group, that kind of stuff. That's the support I'm going to encourage everyone. Do your work, channel your anger into curiosity to figure out, where do I need this in my life? Where do I need to show up more for me? We have loved ones, and I know, trust me, there are people in my life that have stuff going on that I look at them and it's so hard to just be a witness. As a Virgo, I'm like, I want to fix everything. I want to make everything okay. And I want to make everybody happy. And I look and I can see, as other Virgos, if you're kind of watching and you're a Virgo, we have a lot of qualities that people make fun of, but one of our qualities is that we are very tapped in and we can see the overarching picture. And I can look at you and say, this is how these chess moves in your life are going to equate to this. So you need to move this here and that there and redo this. And if people aren't listening, it gets very frustrating, but we can't drag people, no matter how much we share, and at the end, it happens the way you would say, and you're like, But the fact is that, and I'm sure there's other signs that see that kind of stuff. This is my experience. And then you kind of go, okay, but that's their journey. I have to let it go and I have to witness. And part of their journey might be like creating and then resolving a crap show. And watching that with somebody you love on the sideline is really, really hard, especially right now. But the fact is, the energy right now, in addition to all this other stuff, is eyes on your own paper for your own transformation. The only reason you're witnessing is because you need to see a mirror for what you need. So if what you're witnessing is causing, like I said, frustration, anger, all that kind of stuff, you have to ask yourself, not so much, okay, they're creating a crap show for themselves or a block for themselves, a hot mess for themselves, so they can't get where they need to go for whatever reason that outcome is, that positive outcome is. But at the end of the day, you have to look and say, where am I doing that to myself? Where am I creating a crap show that's a block? Or generally, where am I creating a block for what I say I want? I can talk all day that I want something, but if the energy within me is got fear and anger and whatever that's like, past programming that, you're not willing to let go of, which right now is a huge time to let go of stuff. So I would do it now. That's why, everybody's trying to hold on. The people that are angry and frustrated and don't understand what's going on, they're angry and frustrated because they're holding on to crap that doesn't serve them anymore. And they don't know why it's not working. So like, a lot of this is about that, letting go of stuff that is old and outdated and moving towards that which supports you, which a lot of that old stuff is based around people pleasing. It's based around relationships where you are giving too much, where you are compromising self and not really leaning into your authentic self. And where we need to go, which is what these energy is also encouraging, is towards this Aries high vibrational, put yourself first, not in a selfish way, but in a self-care way, in a way that I'm putting myself first so I can show up better for everybody else. And who am I? And who am I more authentically? Who am I to shine my light and do that kind of stuff? So like letting go of that question of who am I to do this? No, why wouldn't I do this? What is my destiny? What is my calling? And showing up and doing that, like really reconnecting with your soul and doing that. So I think a lot of this has to do with that kind of stuff and the anger thing. So I do want to talk a little bit about what can we do? What are some tools? What's going on and what are some tools? So that's the overarching energy. We do have Mercury retrograde that started yesterday, again, in Aries, hence the pop off and the anger and stuff you can't take back. So really, really, really be mindful. I can't emphasize that enough for the next 3 weeks, 1, 2, 3, 3.5 weeks. And, just be really, and of course, tax day falls within that. So be mindful of that. Like the general overarching Mercury retrograde stuff is technology is going to get wonky, and if it hasn't already, don't start anything new. Like if you have like the idea fairy come and plop a bunch of ideas on you, vet them. This is a really great time to vet ideas, to plan, review things, like review what's going on with stuff, seeing what works, see what doesn't work, that kind of thing. Starting something new is not a good idea. If you had an idea before Mercury retrograde and it's implemented during, that's okay because you had all that stuff going on before. So it's kind of not going to get undone. It's just that when we start stuff during retrograde and then Mercury goes forward, what happens is everything that you started unravels and you probably have to do it again. But if you're doing review and stuff like that and planning and things like that, that's the underpin of the retrograde, is to review and renovate and give you time to not have to work on new things, but to really kind of fine tune the stuff you got. As far as contracts, don't sign them. if you can put that off. I know I worked as a paralegal for many years, and of course you're not going to say to your attorney, like, I can't sign that agreement because it's Mercury retrograde. But if you are in that field where you have to sign stuff, cross your T's, dot your I's, make sure that the contract has the intent of the deal in it, that kind of thing. Highly recommend you don't, go ahead and pop, especially right now with popping off where you break up with somebody, or you make an engagement. This is not a time, because again, that stuff will get undone, and that kind of thing. So that's your general stuff. But this specific one, I really feel what Spirit told me is it's a convalescing period. I know that sounds weird, but I think what it is this eclipse season is so huge. It is so big and it's so transformational, that it's going to be, I don't know about y'all, but I'm already exhausted, and tired, and there's a lot of like physical ascension symptoms going on, like lack of sleep, a headache, something that like you kind of feel like you're sick, but you're not sick. And like, you're kind of like, I just want to go take a nap and be in the safety burrito and all that kind of stuff and watch movies, but my Netflix won't work. Like, that's kind of what's going on. So just giving yourself gentleness, and moving through this process, because when we do this much releasing work and this much embracing work, because people talk about releasing all the time, but they never talk about embracing, which I think is so, it's kind of like how people talk about ancestral wounds, and yet they don't talk a lot about ancestral blessings and ancestral gifts. So I want to talk about that for a minute. So like, you're also embracing, you're choosing, what am I embracing to be more authentic with myself and show up as more me and be more individual and self-care and supporting of self, so that I can do the things my destiny is calling me to do. Even if that part of that, like, we might think about, it doesn't mean I'm not going to take care of my family, I'm not going to do things, but showing up as the best version of you or your favorite version of you, for those people and for those experiences. And sometimes it means saying no so you can say yes later. But remember that whole, I say no to external so I can say yes to me. So there's that kind of thing too. The Mercury retrograde is convalescence, because when we come out of this on the 9th, I feel like yes, I'm host, like I have my group, I have clients that day. But I think other than that, I'm going to probably just chill, and I'll probably take the day after that. I'm going to take that whole week to just kind of acclimate. But I highly recommend that during the Mercury retrograde, you kind of review what transpired during the eclipse, like just process that. That's what it's good for. Mercury is a great support for processing. And because it's retrograde, it's slowing everything down to give you that time to process, so that by the time we come out of it, we're like, everybody's kind of like, okay, we're level again, and off we go. So that's really what's going on. And I hope that I made sense, because again, words are hard during Mercury retrograde. My ruling planet is Mercury, so having it in retrograde is kind of challenging. I will share with you what I am doing as far as tools to navigate the Mercury retrograde and the eclipse season and the Chiron and Aries stuff and all that kind of thing. Number one is ground. I have a grounding mat that I got off Amazon. I love it. Right now we're having storms, so not really great to go outside barefoot. But if you can do that, that's even better. But I sit and meditate on my grounding mat every single morning, and meditation every single day without fail. It's a deal breaker. Like, I don't do anything before I meditate in the morning. So meditate on the grounding mat. Second thing is breath work. I love breath work. It kind of really keeps you in your body, which is going to be needed because we're going to not want to be in our bodies. Like, it's weird. Like, we're going to feel like I'm not safe in my body. So repeating to yourself, I am safe in my body. I am here in this moment. It is safe for me to be here in this moment in my body, that kind of stuff. And doing breath work to really kind of focus that energy to ground in and really feel like I am embodying everything. And then thirdly, strive to be in observer mode. That way you're not going to, if you're in observer mode, it is a lot easier for you to say, oh, I'm feeling anger, not I am angry, because I don't want to own it. I want to make sure, emotions are transient. Let them be transient. I am feeling anger. that means that it's here. It may go away, or it'll probably go away. So if you're in observer mode, you can be like, that's making me pissed. That's pissing me off. And then you can be like, okay, why is it pissing me off? And then saying, okay, where am I doing that to myself? So when you're in observer mode, it's a ton easier to kind of move through anger into curiosity. So those three things are really helping me. Also eating grounding foods. So I know it's not healthy. I'm not a doctor. I'm not here to like tell you how to be healthy. If you need, you're on a special diet, stick to that. But I can just suggest some grounding foods. Most things that are red because it's root chakra. So like red meat, tomatoes, red apples, stuff like that. Root vegetables like carrots and potatoes. I don't drink anymore just because it doesn't love me the way that I love it. But red wine, if you are somebody who does drink, then red wine is like a grounding food. Chocolate is a grounding food. All that kind of stuff, like really paying attention to staying in your body this whole time, and knowing that it's safe to be in your body. Okay. So, that might also include like walking or physical activity, like yoga, like not stressful physical activity. Like I don't want you to do like 30 burpees or something, but more like yoga or Body Groove. Body Groove doesn't sponsor this. I just like the concept of her stuff, and I like Body Groove. I have a subscription to it. Gardening so that you're in the earth, because right now it is very ungrounded. So anything that you can do to ground yourself is huge. Make sure that you really stick to a sleep hygiene thing, which means turning off screens maybe 30 minutes to an hour before bed. So, that might involve you in reading a book or listening to a book or putting on some music and like lowering the lights in your bedroom, lowering the lights in your house to kind of tell your body it's time, we're going to go to sleep. Make sure that the temperature in your room is cooler. Maybe you have your ceiling fan on. And if you sleep and you wake up in the middle of the night, that 3 a.m. spirit call, don't just lay there for an hour hoping you'll go back to sleep. If you don't go back to sleep in like 10 minutes, get up, make a cup of tea, go get a glass of water, go sit down in a different room, maybe listen to some meditation music. But like give your body a reset and then head back to bed. So trying to really be gentle with yourself, do a lot more self-care over the next couple of days, all the way through, especially through the eclipse, but then also through nearly the end of this month and into mid-May. Not to say don't keep that up, but extra. Be really mindful. Do not neglect yourself. Do not abandon yourself. Really be attentive to yourself. That is North Node Aries stuff to do as we go through all this. And just give yourself some quality, peaceful time. Lots of rest. And the rest doesn't necessarily mean naps, but more like not working all the time, not forcing yourself to do the things. I'm notorious for this. So I'm like, I'm like really trying very, very hard to just, when I'm off, I'm off. And when I'm on, but like not being off, saying I'm off and then still doing stuff. Okay. So like really being in that space, but utilizing this Mercury retrograde time as convalescence after your birthing of new version of you to really integrate and review and listen to your inner voice and really develop an even stronger relationship with that inner voice. Okay. So that's really, and I'm just going to check. Okay. Yeah. Stuff coming up to be healed. That if you might see people from your past, it won't be like everybody talks about, X is coming back, and that might be so, but it'll be more like the people that are popping in that you haven't seen in a long time are bringing back memories that need to be healed. It might be grief that needs to be like faced or addressed. It might be addictive habits that are or unhealthy habits that are blocking you from doing and being the stuff that you need to be to get where you want to go. It might be the things that are coming up for healing that are like like memories that you haven't thought about in forever, that are like, oh, what programming came about because of that that needs to go, or is coming up for me to say one final goodbye to. Because remember, eclipse stuff, all the stuff that we hide from ourselves, they come up and out during an eclipse so that we can look at it and heal it. And a lot of times you can look at it and choose to heal it or tell, oh, I don't want to deal with that right now. This time you have to do all the things. You have to, or it'll run you over. So I encourage you to take a breath. Like, that's what I'm saying. Ground, breath work, take care of yourselves, all that kind of stuff, so that you can traverse this healing experience. And because that's what it is. It's a transformational healing experience, so that when you're done, you feel so much better. And remember to convalesce during Mercury retrograde, meaning don't go out and run a marathon. Don't start new things. Don't sign contracts. Convalesce, rest, chill, allow your body to, recoup and start to generate forward motion again. Okay. That's it for today. Oh, look, I did keep it to almost under 40 minutes. So yay. But that's it for today. That's our eclipse, portal, and Mercury retrograde in Aries report. It is huge energy, my darlings, and I love you so much. So please take care of yourselves. If you have questions, I'm always here. Please feel free to reach out, ask a question. If you're interested in some group support, reach out to me to talk about the Celestial Soul Circle. Message me on Facebook, Instagram, send me an email, soulcoachstudio@gmail.com. And just if it's not me that you reach out to, make sure you reach out to somebody, okay? So that you're getting the support that you need during this time. But yeah, I think our next Celestial Soul Circle is on the 9th, which we will do a soul reconnection session, especially after all of the stuff we're going through. And then we have one on the 23rd, and then a Woopreneur workshop practical time on the 30th. So if you're interested in that kind of support, I would love to talk to you. Just shoot me a message. Happy to chat about it. That's it. Thank you so much. Have a wonderful rest of your day, rest of your week. Take care of yourselves during this time, and I will see you soon. If you're not on my email list, make sure you get on the email list. My email for the month goes out on Friday. Other than that, I love you so much, and I will see you in the vortex. Love you. Have a great rest of your day.